No one believed the legends of Bigfoot until a retired wildlife biologist risked everything to save a mother and child frozen in a glacier. If you love incredible true adventure stories like this, hit like and subscribe so you don't miss the shocking moments ahead. The morning air bit sharply at Laura Thompson's cheeks as she adjusted her scarf and tightened her backpack straps. Retirement had offered her comfort, quiet, and time, but it had also left a gnawing emptiness she couldn't shake. Today, she decided that emptiness would be filled with adventure. The northern glacier range had always whispered promises of isolation, mystery, and raw, untouched beauty. She wanted to feel alive again. Eli Carter trudged beside her, his seasoned boots crunching in the snow. "Laura, are you sure about this?" he asked, squinting against the glinting white expanse. "These glaciers are unforgiving. One wrong step and—" "I know what I'm doing, Eli," she interrupted gently, a small smile tugging at her lips. "And besides, the old stories, you can't tell me you don't wonder." Eli's brow furrowed. "About Bigfoot?" Laura laughed, a warm sound cutting through the cold. Maybe about the unknown. That's enough reason for me." They pressed on, the wind carrying a sharp tang of ice. Hours passed with the steady rhythm of boots on snow and the occasional crunch of shifting ice beneath them. Then Laura froze, her gloved hand hovering above the snow. "Look!" Eli knelt beside her, eyes widening. Deep, wide tracks, far too large for any bear, marked the snow near a jagged crevasse. "That's not normal," he murmured, a mixture of awe and unease in his voice. Laura's heart beat faster. The tracks disappeared toward a gap in the glacier, and she felt an undeniable pull, a mix of curiosity and something else she couldn't name. A sharp crack echoed through the stillness. The glacier shifted beneath them, tiny pieces of ice cascading like shattering glass. Eli grabbed her arm instinctively. "This place isn't waiting for anyone to hesitate. Be careful." Laura nodded, gripping her hiking pole tighter. Every nerve in her body tingled with anticipation. The frozen landscape alive with possibility, mystery, and danger she hadn't felt in years. The wind howled through the glacier as Laura and Eli edged closer to the jagged crevasse. Snow crunched under their boots, each step echoing ominously in the frozen canyon. Then Laura's breath caught. Embedded in a chunk of cracked ice, a massive figure stirred, weak and trembling. "It's trapped," Laura whispered, crouching slowly. The creature's immense form was partially frozen, its powerful limbs pinned by ice. Shivering violently, it raised its head just enough to reveal dark, intelligent eyes. Laura's heart pounded. There was a presence there, a mind clearly aware, watching them carefully. Eli stepped back instinctively. "Laura, we should leave. We don't know what this thing could do." "This is dangerous," he said, his voice tense. He scanned the icy cliffs nervously, imagining the stories of wild creatures and claws. Laura shook her head. "Look at her eyes, Eli. She's not just some animal. She's alive, aware. She needs help." Her voice was steady, calm, and filled with conviction. She inched forward, gloved hands ready to work carefully without causing harm. The creature blinked slowly, almost as if studying Laura, a faint spark of recognition or trust in those deep eyes. Laura froze for a moment, captivated. She had never seen anything like it. There was intelligence there, a spark of sentience that made her spine tingle. From the corner of her vision, Laura noticed shadows flitting between the skeletal trees lining the glacier edge. A chilling thought whispered through her mind. They might not be alone. Someone or something could be watching. Eli frowned at her glance. "Did you see that?" Laura nodded slightly, not taking her eyes off the mother. "Maybe, but right now we focus on her. Whoever's out there will have to wait." The wind carried the faint sound of cracking ice as Laura prepared to act, a mixture of fear and determination coursing through her veins. The glacier held its secrets tightly, but she was determined to reach the one that needed her help. Laura stepped back a few paces, studying the trapped figure carefully. The ice around the creature was thick, uneven, and dangerous, but she already had a plan forming in her mind. "Eli," she said, voice calm but urgent. We'll need the portable heaters and the safety ropes. If we can warm the ice gradually, we might be able to free her without causing a collapse. Eli raised an eyebrow, rubbing his gloved hands together. Gradually, sure. But one wrong move and this glacier could swallow us both. You really think this will work? Laura gave a determined nod. It's our only chance. We can't just leave her here. They set the heaters near the edges of the ice, careful to keep a safe distance, and fastened ropes around nearby boulders for support. The mother Bigfoot watched every movement with caution, low growls of uncertainty rumbling from deep within her chest. Her eyes, however, followed Laura's steadily, as if weighing her intentions. Step by careful step, Laura inched closer, her hands steady, her movements deliberate. "It's okay," she murmured. "We just want to help." The creature shifted slightly but did not retreat, allowing her approach. The faintest flicker of trust seemed to pass between them. Eli's face was tense as he adjusted the ropes. "I don't like this. I'm helping because you won't listen to me, not because I trust it." He gave a short, wry laugh, though the unease never left his eyes. A sharp crack echoed from beneath their feet, a reminder of the glacier's unpredictability. Ice shifted, sending tiny shards sliding down the slope. Laura froze for a heartbeat, feeling her pulse spike, but she refused to step back. With heaters humming and ropes secure, the rescue began in earnest. Each careful motion carried the weight of hope and danger, the tension of the ice beneath them mirroring the fragile trust forming between human and creature. High above the glacier, a sleek drone buzzed silently through the crisp morning air, its camera lens trained on the ice below. Victor Kane crouched behind a ridge, eyes scanning the snowy expanse through night vision goggles. Wealth, fame, and the thrill of capturing the elusive creature had brought him here, far from the comforts of civilization. Every story he'd heard, every whispered rumor about Bigfoot, had led him to this moment. He adjusted the controls of his equipment, sending another drone buzzing forward. "There you are," he muttered under his breath, spotting massive tracks near a jagged crevasse. His pulse quickened. The creature, trapped and vulnerable, was exactly what he had been hunting for years. Kane's fingers danced over his tablet, tracking thermal readings, anticipating movement. Suddenly, the drone hovered directly above Laura and the mother Bigfoot. Kane's breath caught. For a split second, he had a perfect view of the scene below. A woman crouched beside the massive, trembling creature, ropes and heaters set up carefully around them. He could almost reach out and touch them. Then, with a sudden gust of wind, a flurry of snow swept across the ridge, masking their presence. Kane's heart sank. He had been so close, yet they vanished beneath a curtain of icy mist. The mother Bigfoot moved cautiously, almost instinctively aware of danger, shielding herself as Laura adjusted the heaters. Kane gritted his teeth, frustration gnawing at him. "Not for long," he whispered, already plotting his next move. His obsession with fame and money blinded him to caution. Below, unaware of the hunter above, Laura continued her careful work. The creature's dark eyes followed her every move, cautious but curious. The glacier held its silence, tension thick in the air, as predator and protector circled unknowingly in the frozen expanse. The glacier groaned beneath their feet as Laura and Eli worked frantically. Ice that had seemed solid moments ago began to fracture, sending sharp cracks echoing through the canyon. Tiny shards cascaded down, scattering in all directions, and a low rumble warned them that the crevasse beneath the mother Bigfoot was dangerously unstable. Laura's heart raced, but her mind was clear. "Eli, anchor the ropes. We need to stabilize her now," she shouted over the wind. The mother Bigfoot shifted nervously, sensing the instability, her massive frame trembling as she tried to pull herself free. Eli tightened the ropes around the jagged ice edges, sweat mixing with snow on his brow. "Laura, be careful. One false move and—" "I know," Laura snapped, then turned her attention back to the creature. Spotting a loose ice ledge beginning to give way beneath the mother, she lunged forward with a sturdy pole, propping it against a secure ridge to prevent a total collapse. The massive form teetered but did not fall, her dark eyes reflecting a spark of gratitude, or perhaps understanding. With careful guidance, Laura encouraged her to shift slowly. Surprisingly, the mother Bigfoot cooperated, nudging herself with cautious precision. Each movement brought them closer to solid ground, her strength returning steadily as the ice slowly melted from the portable heaters. Eli watched, mingling with disbelief. "I never thought I'd see anything like this," he muttered. Above, the faint whir of a drone betrayed Victor Kane's approach. His figure appeared on the ridge, scanning the icy scene below with intent eyes. The tension spiked. The glacier was already dangerous, the creature's life hanging by a thread. And now, a human predator loomed, close enough to intervene and disrupt everything Laura had fought to achieve. Laura took a deep breath, steadying herself. Every decision, every careful motion, was now a matter of life and death, for the creature, for the child, and for herself. After the last shards of ice slid away, a sudden, high-pitched whine reached Laura's ears. She froze, listening intently. "Eli, do you hear that?" Eli paused, scanning the surrounding glacier walls. "Sounds like something small. Another animal, maybe?" Laura shook her head, her eyes narrowing toward a narrower ice cave tucked near the base of the ridge. Tiny, panicked sounds echoed from within. She moved closer cautiously, keeping her voice soft. "There's someone or something trapped. We have to check." Eli's brow furrowed. "Another creature? Laura, this is dangerous. We barely got the first one free." Ignoring his warning, Laura edged toward the cave entrance. Inside, a smaller, trembling figure pressed against the ice wall, unable to escape on its own. The mother Bigfoot, now free and regaining strength, had been watching from the nearby ledge. At the first sight of her offspring, she let out a low, guttural hum, a sound filled with relief and recognition. Laura held her breath as the mother Bigfoot carefully guided the smaller one out of the ice, nudging it with surprising gentleness and precision. Her dark, intelligent eyes flicked toward Laura and Eli, showing trust and awareness. She seemed to understand that these humans had helped save her, and cautiously allowed them to stay nearby. Eli shook his head in amazement. I can't believe what I'm seeing. She's actually helping." Laura's chest tightened with a mix of awe and gratitude. The two creatures moved with unexpected coordination, navigating the slippery ice with care. Every gesture, every careful step, showed a bond, an intelligence, and a protective instinct far beyond what either human had anticipated. Above the ridge, the faint hum of a drone reminded them they were still not alone. Danger lingered just out of sight, watching. The sharp hum of a drone cut through the icy wind, and Victor Kane's voice crackled through a radio. "There, I see them. Move in." He crouched behind a snow-covered ridge, scanning the terrain. The mother Bigfoot and her young companion were emerging from the ice cave, and Victor's greed flared. He had waited years for this moment. Laura's eyes darted toward Eli. "We need to get them out of sight fast. Use the terrain." She grabbed a handful of snow and flung it toward a nearby outcropping, sending a cloud of white drifting in Victor's direction. He squinted, momentarily blinded. Eli didn't hesitate. He kicked loose a patch of snow, sending it tumbling down a small incline. The noise drew Victor's attention, and he moved to investigate, giving the creatures precious seconds to advance. The mother Bigfoot paused, watching the humans carefully, then guided her young across a narrow ice ledge. Her movements were calculated, anticipating Victor's possible approach. She nudged the child in the safest direction, avoiding cracks and weak spots that even Laura hadn't noticed. Victor's figure appeared on a higher ridge, eyes narrowing as he tried to line up his shot. "Gotcha now," he hissed, reaching for a rope trap. Laura whispered urgently, "We can't let him corner them." She darted across a safer path, waving her coat, drawing Victor's attention downward again. Eli joined her, pounding the ice with a sturdy branch to create more noise. The chase intensified. Mother and child weaved through jagged cliffs, their coordination astonishing. Every time Victor neared, the mother Bigfoot anticipated his moves, slipping through narrow gaps or halting just in time, making clever use of the terrain. Laura's pulse raced as they pressed onward, guiding the creatures while staying just out of Victor's line of sight. The frozen landscape had become a maze of suspense, with every step carrying risk, every movement balancing danger against the slim hope of escape. The wind finally eased as Laura, Eli, and the two creatures crested a ridge, revealing a valley that seemed untouched by time. Trees stretched tall and unbroken, moss blanketing rocks, and steam rising from a hidden hot spring glimmered in the sunlight. Laura's breath caught. This must be their sanctuary, she whispered. The mother Bigfoot led the way with confident steps, navigating through narrow paths and dense undergrowth that even Laura hadn't noticed. The child followed closely, stumbling occasionally but quickly recovering. Every now and then, the mother glanced back, ensuring the humans were still behind, her eyes calm but alert. Laura crouched near the hot spring, feeling the warmth of the water against her cold fingers. The child carefully stepped into the shallow pool, and a small, relieved sigh escaped its lips. The mother remained at the edge, protective yet relaxed, watching her young soak and regain strength. As Laura explored the surrounding area, she noticed something unexpected. Faint carvings in stone, remnants of primitive shelters, and small tools buried partially in moss. Evidence of previous human presence, hidden from the outside world, hinted at a long and secret history of contact. A shiver ran down her spine. The sanctuary was sacred, yet it had quietly interacted with humans before. Meanwhile, Victor Kane's frustration reached a peak. In his rush to reach them, he had misjudged a thin ledge and slipped, landing with a muffled curse in a narrow crevasse below. For a moment, he was trapped, unable to free himself, humiliation written clearly on his face. His shouts echoed through the valley, but they carried no immediate threat. Laura exhaled, taking in the serene, hidden world around her. The mother and child seemed safe for the first time in days, and the valley whispered of secrets, resilience, and life untouched by the greed and chaos of the outside world. The distant crunch of snow announced Dr. Amanda Reyes' arrival. Laura turned, spotting the scientist cautiously descending the glacier with equipment in hand, skepticism written across her face. "I don't know if this is real," Amanda called out, her voice carrying over the wind. "Bigfoot? Really, Laura?" Laura smiled faintly, motioning for her to follow. "You'll see for yourself. Just keep an open mind." As Amanda stepped closer, the mother Bigfoot and her young one were already near the hot spring, moving with deliberate gestures. Laura pointed subtly. "Watch their eyes, their hands. They're communicating." Amanda's brow furrowed, her gaze sharp. She observed as the mother nudged the child toward a simple puzzle Laura had set up, sliding a stone to release a small piece of food. With careful attention, the child manipulated the stone, and the reward fell into place. The mother's approving hum was almost audible, a mixture of pride and encouragement. Laura continued, explaining softly, "They're organized, intelligent, and capable of learning. They recognize patterns, show empathy, and even understand cause and effect." Amanda's eyes widened as the creatures used subtle gestures to guide each other, pointing, touching, and signaling with remarkable coordination. It became evident. This was not random behavior. They were part of a structured social group, a covert society that had survived in secret for generations. From a ridge above, Victor Kane watched, hidden but furious. His eyes reflected frustration, greed, and disbelief. Unlike Laura, he saw only opportunity and profit, blind to the creature's intelligence, their social bonds, and the life he had nearly disrupted. Laura's chest swelled with quiet pride and sorrow. The contrast was stark. Compassion versus greed, understanding versus ignorance. Here, in the frozen sanctuary, the truth of Bigfoot's existence and their sophistication stood undeniable. A secret world that had silently endured while humanity remained oblivious. Laura stood at the edge of the hidden valley, her gaze following the mother Bigfoot and her young one as they moved through the trees. The creatures paused briefly, looking back at her with a silent acknowledgement, then vanished into the dense forest, shadows blending seamlessly with the snow-dusted undergrowth. Relief washed over her. They were safe. Eli exhaled, leaning on his hiking pole. "I never thought I'd see anything like this," he murmured. "All these years, I scoffed at the stories, dismissed the legends, and now, I can't ignore what I've witnessed." He shook his head slowly, a mixture of awe and humility in his eyes. "Empathy matters, Laura. Sometimes it matters more than caution or skepticism." Laura nodded, a quiet smile touching her lips. "Exactly. And that's why we can't tell anyone about this sanctuary. Not yet. Not ever. Some secrets are meant to protect, not exploit." She glanced once more toward the forest, imagining the creature's life continuing undisturbed, their sanctuary intact. The wind whispered through the trees, carrying faint sounds of movement far beyond their line of sight. A distant howl echoed across the valley, low and resonant, sending a shiver through the human observers. Laura's eyes narrowed thoughtfully. The creatures were watching, aware, intelligent, and still part of a hidden world humanity barely understood. She turned toward Eli. "Remember this moment," she said softly, "not just for what we saw, but for what it teaches us about respect, compassion, and the mysteries of the wild." Eli nodded, gripping her shoulder lightly. Together, they took a final look at the untouched valley, committing its secrets to memory. Laura faced the camera of her mind, as if speaking to everyone listening. "Remember to protect our wilderness. Like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below." The frozen landscape stretched endlessly before them, alive with life, secrets, and the promise of stories yet untold.